Now, I mentioned before about these young people at uni who should potentially, instead of being there, should be off getting a job or getting a trade, doing something practical. Of course, an apprenticeship is a great option because it means you are working and learning at the same time. And over in the UK, the opposition leader, or can you even call her the opposition leader these days? You know, Nigel Farage is kind of the de facto opposition leader now, but Kemi Badenoch, she's the leader of the Tories. She is talking about welfare and just how big the welfare state has grown to over there. Of course, it's grown big here too. She wants to rip 87 billion quid out of welfare, and she wants to begin with people of working age who are on the dole.
There are more than 6 million people of working age who are claiming benefits instead of working. We will review every circumstance in which benefits are currently paying more than work.
Fair enough. And she's also taken a potshot at young people who just don't want to work.
But today we are seeing a lot of people not taking jobs because they think that those jobs are beneath them.
And I mean, this is not a new phenomenon, but I'm glad to see someone calling it out. Again, the Conservatives are almost not a mainstream party anymore, are they? Because they've been usurped by reform. But to see a mainstream political leader saying, you know, young people should be out doing jobs and we shouldn't have to, I mean, this is the subtext to it, we shouldn't have to be bringing migrants into any Western nation to fill jobs when we have young people, in particular, sitting around on welfare, taking the dole when they could be out doing work. But they don't want to pick fruit in summer, and they don't want to work at Macca's, or they don't want to work at the local fish and chip shop. I can do better than that. They never talk about the fact that inherent in that is a certain level of racism. I don't want to be a cleaner. You know, oh, we should only have Indian cleaners, should we? But that's the inherent racism in the way a lot of these young people are thinking. Don't tell them. Don't tell them, they won't know how to deal with that, because they think that's a migrant's job. Someone else should come and clean my toilets for me. Why would I go and clean the toilets? Well, if you're on the dole and there's a cleaning job going, surely it's better than nothing.
Isn't it amazing how the very presence of Nigel Farage has prompted the Conservative Party in the UK to be conservative, much like One Nation is doing for the Liberals here? The other interesting thing about what she said was she talked about the age of diagnosis, where we are now pathologising behaviours that maybe a generation ago would have been considered normal. Things like ADHD. I mean, if you haven't got an ADHD diagnosis these days, what's wrong with you? Or, you know, you used to be sad, now you're depressed. You used to be nervous. No, you're not nervous, you're anxious. And so many young people now are being diagnosed for things that would have been just, you know, part of life, and now using that diagnosis firstly as an identity, so that becomes how they see themselves, and then as a reason not to work and not to be engaged in full-time employment.
Well, I mean, I think one of the most simple reforms that they could make over in the UK and here in Australia as well is that you do not get the dole if you can't work because of mental health issues. That just should not be a reason that you get welfare. If you're obviously in an institution, that's another story. But the idea that you could have moderate anxiety or mild autism or dyslexia and then get welfare payments is ridiculous. And it does create this culture of victimhood. Instead of asking, how can I contribute? How can I lift myself up? It's what diagnosis can I get to get support from the state? And I think to your point, Caleb, young people not wanting to take on these low-wage jobs, well, if you cut immigration, suddenly the wages in these low-paid jobs would go right up. And so that's another reason you shouldn't be filling them with foreign workers because our Westerners are too lazy. If we cut immigration, well, actually being a fruit picker would be very well paid, and being in a low-skilled role would be rewarding. There would be career progression. But that's the fundamental problem for young people. They've all been told, do the right thing, go to university, get a degree, and on the other side, you'll have this amazing career. It just doesn't exist anymore.
I've never understood, just talking about fruit picking, I've never understood the aversion of Australians to doing fruit picking during the summer months. Because I would have thought, if you just got out of school and you whipped together 10 of your mates and you go, we're going to bugger off to Queensland or something for Christmas and New Year, and we're going to pick fruit all day and drink beer all night. And normally you get accommodation out of these people. They put you up while you're there. You do the work and then you can go and do whatever you want. You could backpack around the country. Like, doesn't that sound like a great deal for a young person?
It would have 20 or 30 years ago, but I can't think of any teenager today who would think, you know what, I can't wait to finish school, go to North Queensland and pick bananas. It's just not
But
going
that's
to happen.
part of the problem.
They want to go to
they...
Europe for 6 months on their
but
mum and dad's credit card.
But this is the problem. And perhaps part of it as well is mum and dad need to give the kids a kick up the arse and say, get out of home, go and get a job, go and do something. But instead they go, oh, look, little Johnny, we'll look after you, we'll look after you. You've got to give them some self-sufficiency. Teach them that they actually have to get out there and do something.